Mr. Jerry Blavitt. I'm leaving. This is your job now. That's not mine. I'm out of here.
Hi, guys. Hey, Gong Show. I love you. Are you having a good time? Yeah. Really? Let me tell you, and I said this, I think, on stage, but I really missed you guys because we have become friends throughout all of the years that we've been together. And when you don't have this family thing, it's really sad. So give yourselves a big hand because you are family. You really are. Well, what can I tell you about this guy? I go back with him before he was little Andy. Well, he's not little now. But none of us are really little now, except me, because I eat birdseed. You see, that's why people say, how come you're so skinny? I say, I eat birdseed. But I go back when he was singing with a group called the Chesters. I go back when he was singing with a group called the DuPonts. He truly is one of the last of an era, because most of the wonderful leads that were a part of our lives, unfortunately, are singing up in heaven with Chuck Berry and Fats Domino and Dick Clark. He is the last of what he does, and nobody does it better than little Anthony. Ladies and gentlemen, my man. My man. Where do you want to sit? You want to sit there or you want to sit here?
Wherever you want to sit, I'll sit. You sit.
I'm with you. Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Come on, we'll sit. I'll sit. Now.
It takes me a minute or two, brother. I'm sorry. Because I don't eat no bird seeds,
I really don't know where to begin with you. Because the beginning.
There is one.
The beginning was in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right? In Brooklyn. How old were you back then?
When I met you, or when I... Really...
Well, let's go with the Chesters.
Oh, well, that was really like early. The DuPonts was really... I was 15.
And they had a song called You. You. And it was on Apollo?
No. It was on Winley Records.
Paul Winley. We were talking about him
Winley.
back there. Well, but on The Fires Burn No More when you were the Chesters.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
yeah.
label?
Apollo. That was
There
Apollo.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first...
Charlie something. Like all of a sudden these memories are coming back. Charlie somebody was the president of that company. And and since you bought it there and you didn't go back further and you moved up.
Right.
He was an interesting man and really unsung because he was the one that really put the proper musicians behind us and made it really good. And so for that, I thought of him as soon as you said that. And like The Fires Burn No More, right? Well, I remember I had this song that I had written. I'm not a songwriter. I'm a singer who sometimes writes, more lyrical than anything else. And he was the first one he said that, does anybody here write? He was asking the guys any songs, and I guess Ernest or somebody said, oh, hey, he got a song, and that song was Fires Burn No More, which was my first wife. I wrote about her. We were teenage lovers, teenage kids, and actually my son, by that marriage, is on the ship with me now.
Tony.
He's my manager. So all these kind of memories, he clicks and he'll say stuff nobody says, and he knows how to do that. You're making me nervous.
Well, no. But You know, it's very interesting because when I first began on radio, they thought I was crazy. They still think I'm crazy. Because radio back then was format. You could not play the music that you wanted to play after 1959 because of the payola investigation. They brought program directors in. And I played The Fires Burn No More, You by the DuPonts. I played The Riveraires, I Love You for Sentimental Reasons. I played Willie Winfield. I played the Hop Tones. And his music was always unique. And saying that, tell me the mentors for you. Willie Winfield, the Hop Tones.
Oh, yeah, Willie was one of them. You know, Bobby Lester.
Oh, the Moonglows.
Yeah.
With Harvey Fuqua.
And of all the people in the world we became tight. We became friends. I was one moment listening to him sing and smitten. And the next moment, by chance, I met Jimmy Merchant of the Teenagers.
The Teenagers.
At my school, in those days, you guys remember they used to have places for young people to go.
Yeah.
Remember after school, you can go out and play basketball in the gym, and you can do anything. Kept you off the streets, and what happens was they used to have groups, and all the groups around town would use that time to rehearse or go into the auditorium or something, and they'd all rehearse or wherever it was. And I met, and somebody said, "Oh, guess who's here?" And because I guess he's had some girlfriend or something, I don't remember, but he's from up Harlem, New York, you know.
Yeah.
And he's all the way down in Brooklyn, and he says, "Jimmy Merchant." I said, "Who?" "Yeah, one of the Teenagers, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers." Whoa.
Wait, let me tell you how interesting what you just said. You wind up recording on the same label
Yeah.
that Frankie and the guys
George Goldner.
with George Goldner. Wow.
G and Rama Records, remember?
Yeah.
Tico Records was where all the Latin stuff.
George Goldner, by the way, this is a name you can Google. George Goldner was a visionary for our music. He began in Latin with a label called Tico.
Yep.
Tito Puente, all of that. And he picked up on all of the groups, the Valentines, as you remember, with Richard Barrett, the Chantels going back that time, the Cleftones going back time, Little Anthony, Frankie Lyman, and the Teenagers. I can go on and on, the Serenaders. And he does not get the credit
Not at all.
that he should get because, unfortunately, he died broke.
Gambling. He was a
Gambling,
gambler,
big gambler, and he lost all of the record labels to a fellow by the name of Morris
Levy,
who bailed him out and took all of the labels. But there's such, I'm going to tell you, Anthony, and I think you'll agree, nobody in Hollywood or writers or on TV have ever really captured the essence of what this business was about.
No.
This was a family business with performers hanging. Well, you see it when you're all together with all these performers, man. Nobody has nailed it yet.
No. It's different. It was a different world, like it is a different world. We came up when we used to have competitions against one another, but it was very friendly. I remember this group of kids. They were kids like I was. They came out of Cincinnati. They were called the Isley Brothers.
Ronnie Isley.
Ronnie Isley. They didn't have any place to stay. But Richard Barrett got them a place to stay in Harlem at, William Parker, who became my road manager then, at his house. So we meet these kids, and they were like really, Cincinnati to New Yorkers were very country. We didn't even speak alike, And I remembered they were very enthusiastic, and Ronnie used to just watch me come to shows and just, And one day, a friend of mine said, "Oh, they're going to do a thing. I think was for George Goldner, I think. Correct me if I'm.
No, you're
I
right.
don't always remember things, but
Join the family.
but they ended up doing a song called "Shout."
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, prior to that, they seen us all. They loved this. Watch us doing a song that I wrote called "I'm All Right."
Yep.
"I'm All Right" is a gospel. It's just a gospel rhythm thing that basically it's a. I don't want to get into the metaphors and all that kind of stuff of notes and all that. Why it's a certain beat, but it's just basically. Bum, 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 bum. You could use that
You
in
know,
anything.
make me want to shout,
Yeah,
shout,
that
shout.
bum, 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 bum. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. It's all there. If you listen to gospel, black
repeats.
gospel,
It
you hear it
repeats.
a lot. And he never admitted it, but they saw that and got really turned on. So what happened with Sam Cooke and I, because Mr. Goldner, I had the I'm all right, and it sounded great, and we should do it, but we didn't have really good lyrics. So he says, look, there's a gentleman that that he knows you from a long time ago. And he, at that time, was with a gospel group called the Soul Stirrers. His name was Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
He was a kid. He was a kid. He used to stay at my aunt's. In those days, black folks couldn't really stay in the big hotels like the Waldorf store, whatever,
Right.
downtown. Right?
Right.
And so they stayed at guest houses. And one of them was my Aunt Sarah, who was a gospel singer with my mother, who was a gospel singer. And they were called the Nazareth Baptist Gospel Singers, and we all knew each other. The lady down the street was one of the women that, I don't know if she sang with them or what. Her daughter was called Leslie Uggams. We all lived in the same. Who knew? We was all there. So, Sam Cooke. Now, and all these names I can throw at you. We're all kids. We don't know what we're going to be. What we're going to be. And he used to call my Aunt Sarah Miss Ford. Her name was Sarah Ford. Miss Ford, Miss Ford. And so he said, George Goldner said, yeah, he says he knows you, and he'd like to put some lyrics to that. I said, Sam Cooke. Well, Sam Cooke is now Sam Cooke. You send me. I'm going, gee. And he comes to the Apollo Theater. We were up there in the Apollo Theater, last of the vaudeville joints in those days, doing the shows, and I'm kid. And so here comes Sam Cooke, and we went down, and you know where that is, down in the cellar, where they do all the band rehearsals
That's
and
where
stuff.
you do the rehearsals, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we went down there, and we wrote, I'm All Right. Well, Ronnie and them knew all this stuff. And the next thing I know, I'm hearing shout.
That sounds familiar to me. It sounds very
It make
familiar,
me
you're going to
wanna
say.
shout. I'm going.
Yeah.
Ronnie,
Did you get any
if you
royalties?
see Ronnie anytime, he won't admit it. He never did. But I know. No, I didn't. I didn't even get anything from I'm
Let me
All Right
tell you-
either. So I didn't.
It's so interesting because we were with Gladys after the show, and we hugged. She loves him. They
Yeah,
go
we
way back,
go way back.
And everything began in gospel.
Yes.
Everything began in gospel. When we were the kids, the white kids, we'd be singing on the corner. The black kids would be singing gospel.
We'll be in church, yeah.
They'd be in the church, you see. And it's, when God gives you a talent, like this man or any one of the other performers, if you take care of that, that's a gift from God.
Yes.
It's so sad for me when you think about, thank you, so many wonderful performers, Frankie Lyman,
Oh, my gosh,
the
yes.
Whitney Houstons, the people who never took care, didn't realize that was a God-given talent.
Yeah.
He can tell you, we were talking backstage how he's rehearsing, how he's doing breathing and making sure that he sounds good. You got to protect that talent. So many of our artists, and I think it was, would it be environment, not Elvis
No.
Presley. Look at Elvis.
And I knew him very well. But it's just not that, I'm not going to act like I'm, goody two-shoes. I've had my problems and issues, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, a kid out of the streets with gangs in Brooklyn and all that. I mean, so I picked up some pretty bad habits myself. But I never, now that I'm 80 years old, I can talk the way I want to talk. You know, when we talk about that when you get older, you don't care anymore if you like it or not.
We don't have to make any bones anymore, right?
No. And I by the grace of God, when you said that, because I have to say I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ at all, because that's what saved me. My mother and my father, and I'm not really getting into a quote unquote religion. No, I have a relationship with this God. He speaks to me all the time. Now, that's what saved me. Now, there was a lot of cats like Frankie, and them guys didn't know. They didn't know that they're on this earth for a reason, that talent that they had, I didn't. That was a gift. It's a supernatural gift. I've had somebody on the ship ask me, just when we got on yesterday, oh, man, how do you sing like that? What do you do for your voice? And I said, I don't know. I said, well, the only thing I can attest it to, it's supernatural.
It's a God-given thing from the guy up
natural.
above, man.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are times, and we talk about this, I can go out on the stage and just open my mouth, and I'll hit a note and go, how did I just do that? If you look at Gladys last night, and because we are out of that, I'm looking at her differently than you're looking at her. Yeah. And I could see when she dropped that mic and I hit, that meant, how'd I hit that note?
Yeah.
How do you keep doing it? Look at Tony Bennett, he's now retired. Mel Torme. This is an unusual thing, and I'm a blessed man to be my age. And I still sing in high C. I don't go that much anymore, but I can. And I don't have an attest to anybody when they ask me that question that I was asked yesterday. How do you sing like that? All I can say is, it's his voice. It's God's voice. I got it on loan. It's supernatural. Certainly isn't natural. And I said, he says, oh, well, come on now. I said, look, you asked me a question. I answered it.
Well, what happened? Listen, Anthony, the problem was he wanted to be like you. You understand? And it couldn't
a little late for that.
Let me ask you this, though. We talked about the beginning. We talked about George Golder.
Yeah.
As you look back, and as we see all of these wonderful people who've been a part of our lives, what do you feel?
Ooh, thankful. Yeah. What did Gladys say? She wasn't joking, folks. It was coming from her heart. Because when you get a certain age, you made it. And I would say, what? 65% of the people we came up with, and I know Jerry here, we won't even Discuss this. We're talking years. We're all young. Here we are.
So, you know what I think it is we're trying to express? You are the ones that keep us going.
Yep.
Because we realize when we grew up, you were listening to the music. The music spoke for what you felt.
Yep.
When Tears of My Pillow, Just Two Kinds of People in the World, Hurt So Bad, whatever the songs were, you identified. And you still today cherish that. And you keep us all going because we appreciate the fact. And we appreciate what Malt Shop Memories does. Because nobody else does what they do.
No.
In keeping this alive. Keeping not only us, but you. I said it before. America will never be the America that we grew up in.
No, it's just not going to be the same.
This is our world. This is the last generation.
This is it.
Young kids today, when they hit the age, will not have what you had.
They'll never know what we had.
You think?
Hey,
we grew up with respect.
Anybody from Brooklyn? You remember the Brooklyn Paramount? The Fox? Murray the K, Alan Freed.
Yeah.
You understand the kind of a generation you came up with? This is your blessed generation. I realize that now. Well, once we're not here, we better tell the kids all you can. They probably won't, some of them won't listen, but a lot of them do. They may not know, you know. You know what I found out? I know you know this. The young people, they're like hitting YouTube by the droves. And we sometimes, my son would say, you know how many hits that came on YouTube about certain songs? Millions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who is that? Kids.
But when young kids, and I know this from Memories in Margate, when we play, well, we did it, thank you.
Yeah, my old hang out.
When we were singing along, you knew all of the lyrics. Pain in my heart,
Yeah,
you knew it. You see, young kids, when they hear this music for the first time,
Yep.
they really like it.
They like it.
Because it's something that, where? Wow.
What is that?
They don't have that today.
No.
You see, at Memories in Margate, and Anthony's been with me for 100 years. I've
Yeah.
owned Memories for 50 years now.
It's hang out there.
You get the average age when you do a happy hour, 65 to 90. Okay? After the happy hour, I work until 4 in the morning. We're open. Average age is 21 to 65.
Yeah, I noticed that.
21 to 65. Because it's the energies, it's the music, it's refreshing. Music today talks about all of the wrong things, all of the wrong things. I hate the cop, I hate this, I hate
Hate
that.
my mother, father.
This music is real. What he does is real. The Malt Shop Memories Cruise is real. I mean,
And you remember when Alan Freed, you know, coined the phrase rock and roll, which was, I don't want to get in what that meant.
yes, I understand.
You know. But anyway, he starts saying that really was rhythm and blues. It just, I always tell people, what is it, gospel gave birth to jazz, jazz gave birth to rhythm and blues, rhythm and blues gave birth to rock and roll, you go on and on and on and on, even up to rap. These kids today, they think this is something new, rap. You guys remember Louis Jordan? Does anybody remember Louis Jordan?
Ain't nobody here but us chickens.
Right. What did he used to do? He was rapping. We call it signifying. They think they've invented something. Nah, you didn't.
Hey, how about Cab Calloway?
Oh my gosh,
You
Cab
know,
Calloway.
These cats.
They were scatting. They were doing stuff that the kids took. We call urban. It was urban then. It was a way of communicating. Well, rap to them is like we were when we were doing street corner singing, which they call doo-wop now. But then it was known as street corner singers. We were street corner singers. We sang wherever there was echo. It don't matter, man. If it's like in the hallways of the projects, where there's echo, we go.
Or in the subway.
You see the subway today? You see all the subway performers? We started it.
That's
Nobody was doing that in the subways. We started that. Because we had nowhere to go. We would go in there and sing. Who knew? Now you see them cats down there with a little thing, and you put money in there. We didn't know any better. We could have got rich. We could have been somebody. It's crazy.
Listen, you talked about Sam Cooke, man.
Oh, yeah, Sam.
The legendary, man. You talk about Ronnie Isley's. These were the innovators. By the way, you know, after Sam left the Soul Stirrers, you know, the Pilgrim Cats, Lou Rawls became
Rawls
the cat. Lou
was
Rawls.
it there?
Johnny Taylor.
Johnny Taylor came from there.
these were all from gospel. But
Oh, what's his name? Oh, my brain went into neutral.
which one?
Man, the name, I hate when that happens. It went right in my mind.
It happens with me all the
Womack.
time.
Bobby Womack.
Yes.
You
Well, he
imagine
was
that?
he married Sam's wife.
You want to keep going with stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Now you got me on a roll, babe. Did you know my wife, I love this woman so much. This is the first time I missed a cruise in over 15 years. All the cruises I've always done. Yeah, but this is a long story. She just could not be there. She'll be in the next one. But anyway, let me get my train of thought. You know, when you get older, you tend to forget things.
You ain't old, you just bold.
Yeah, but you're talking about, we was talking about Sam Cooke, right? Yeah. Well, all those cats, man, like that, when I was with my wife one day, I knew all the Four Seasons. They were not known as the Four Seasons when I met him. We
Four
guys in
Lovers.
Brooklyn call them Jersey guys. Jersey guys, Brooklyn guys, same thing. They sound alike, they look alike, same thing. So we call them Jersey guys. Frankie Valli, all these guys.
Yeah.
Well, Frankie, Joe Pesci, Frank Vincent, oh, how much I keep going on. All of us knew each other young. Joe Pesci used to be my guitar backup player.
True.
You know that Joe Pesci is one heck of a singer? He's kind of semi-retired, but he plays a lot of clubs. My son would attest to my other son. He once saw him and thought he was me. Because I've known him so long. Frank Vincent used to play drums behind me.
Right.
These people became great actors. You wonder where they came from? Well, good old rock and roll, boy, spurred a lot of them.
You know, Frank Vincent, who passed away a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, was in The Sopranos. You know, these guys, Frankie Valli was with a group called the Four Lovers.
So that's who they were, the Four
The Four
Lovers.
Lovers back then. And the white groups always looked up to the black groups for the harmony. And there was a young man by the name of Teddy Randazza.
Yes, he was.
All right, who sang with a group called the Chuckles. All right. Anthony met him when you were working at the Paramount Theater.
Paramount album with the DuPonts.
Right.
In 1956.
Yeah, and the reason I mention that name is because some of the biggest hits that Anthony had, Hurt So Bad,
Yep.
I'm on the outside looking in, written by Teddy
It was written by
Randazza.
him.
Tell the
And-
story how that happened.
Well, when I was with the DuPonts and Winley Records, was whatever, Winley Paul down, but anyway, he started this. And there was a man by the name of Teddy Reeg. Well, they called them the Boys. They had sort of the control over the business in New York City. And I can't remember a lot of them. You probably do. But they sort of made everything work. Well, Teddy Reeg heard the and one day somehow I met him, and he said, we could do better, or something like that effect. And he put us on his own record company, which at that time was a big jazz company, record company, and they wanted to kind of expand. It was called, what I'm talking about, it's called Royal Roos.
Yes,
The great jazz,
Yeah.
all the jazz greats. And they put us on there. And, to promote that, Teddy Reeg and all those guys were actually managing Alan Freed, or had something to do with him.
Jack Hook.
Jack Hook. I couldn't remember. Jack Hook, Teddy Reeg, and all those guys. So they said they need an opening act. And so Teddy Reeg said, oh, gee, I got this group that's on there. And we opened up at the New York Paramount. Now, wait a minute. I'm still in high school. And I was like, what? And who's going to be on there? Well, it's going to be Nappy Brown. It's going to be the Buddy Knox.
Yeah.
And
Laverne
Baker.
Little Richard.
No, Little Richard wasn't on that one.
Chuck?
The Platters, all of the original Platters from day one. Not the Heartbeats. We just talked about them out of Long Island.
Woody Winfield, Hot Tones?
No, what's it? No, they were from. Where were they from? I don't know. Who were they? Anyway, it was what can I say? Hot
Anyway,
Tones.
como se llama?
They were on the show, and I can go on. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers are on there.
Oh,
This
it
is the
was
first
Cleftones,
time
the
at
Cleftones.
Cleftones.
That's-
Thank you, sir. He's so wonderful. And here I am, like, like all these people. And I had met Jimmy Merchant. Remember I told you early in the school, and there was Jimmy. And Jimmy is, to this day, we're like brothers. We always talk to each other. And he was the first one that got me going. And he says, I want you to meet Frankie Lyman. I said, because they had Why the Fools Fall in Love. They were like the huge stars. And I met him. And guess what, folks? He was just like me.
Very
the first
small.
time we saw each other, we fell in love with each other because he was a tenor, I was a high voice, and we kind of understood right away. Like Eddie Kendricks and the Temptations, I came very close because all the tenor singers tend to gravitate to one another. The bass singers gravitate to the bass singers, and on and on. And there we were, and my dressing room was next to the group called the Three Chuckles, which was Teddy Randazzo. Well, Teddy was just a man. At that time, no one knew how a genius he really was.
Brilliant.
And how much he loved the business, and there was another man that took him under his wing by the name of
Don Costa.
who was Frank Sinatra's arranger and all of that good stuff, and I'm sitting with this kid, and he would come and watch me do Prove It Tonight and You, right? And I was wondering, why is this guy always in the wings looking at me? And this is what he said one day, and this is it, folks. You're getting it right from me. He just out of nowhere, he said, kid, he called me kid. And he said, one of these days we're going to work together. I like your voice. I don't know. We're going to work. That's like 7 years later.
Yep. In the 60s, early
In the
60s.
We end up coming together by fluke. And one of the things that Teddy told me, the first time I sat with Teddy, is Teddy understood, because I had told him, I came out, I was a child, a lot of people don't realize that I was an actor. I was a professional actor. At 9, 8, 7 years old, my mother was a stage mother. She was always pushing me music and sending me to the Star Time studios to learn. And so I had this point in my life where Teddy understood that, and he knew a lot about me. He did his research long before there was Google. Somehow he figured out what made me tick. And when we're sitting there, and I remember when he played the song Outside Looking In for me and the guys. And I said, that's nice. And he said, you know what? He said, you're going to be my voice. Because I think that my lyrics are going to fit you. And I said, well, why? he said, because you have he said, have you ever acted before? I said, yeah. He said, I noticed when you're singing it and practicing it, you take the lyrics and you make them like it's happening then. You're relating like an actor does to certain parts or whatever their character that they're studying. And I didn't realize that it just came natural to me that way.
Well, Sinatra was the same way.
Yes, he was.
People say, well, great. Sinatra did not have a great voice.
No,
he was a
stylist.
Storyteller.
He was a storyteller, yep.
When he sang, but the range was not that great. But you have to, and I think you'll understand this, but you may have never heard anybody say this. Let me tell you about talent. One of the finest instruments is a violin.
Yep.
Correct? If you put that violin in the hands of somebody that doesn't know how to play it, it's terrible. Talent is the violin. He was the violin. Teddy knew how to play the violin. Dionne Warwick, Burt Bacharach.
Back in Al David.
Dionne Warwick was the violin. Burt Bacharach played the violin with the lyric. So that's what talent is. You put you get a great actor, you give him a bad director.
Nothing.
He's
Nothing.
dead.
He's dead. Bad script? No way.
And that's what talent is. Gladys Knight, Little Anthony, the Brooklyn reunion with Emo, and all of the guys. The Passions. And in closing, you make us continue because of the support from Malt Memories Cruise.
Yes, sir.
I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, do that. How much time do we have? I know I got to run someplace else. You want to wrap it up? Ladies and gentlemen, what can I tell you about my friend? Anthony, through all the years that I've known you, You have never changed. You've given your best even when you weren't feeling well. And I know because we worked together. I saved him one time.
Yeah.
He was at Valley Forge. He was sleeping. I said, we're doing an interview. You're on in another hour. Right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, how do you end this? What do you say? Thank you, love, and all that?
I gotta say, like, and I don't say this without any, that I'm doing this because somehow that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't do that. I do whatever comes out of this, and I'll say it. And
This old
whatever it
heart of
is.
mine.
Yeah, like people like, Mr. Rubin and all the folks that run the ship. You know, when I first came in, I did the very first ship,
Yes, I know.
2010, remember? And
But we were drinking wine.
well,
back
we was
then.
drinking wine. Did we do a show or not? I don't remember. But but what happened was I got to meet these people in Time Life and in StarVista. And gee, they were people. And they knew it because they were doing that whole thing with this music when nobody was doing that.
Compilations.
Compilation. Remember you see on TV all them things and guys. And out of that, I ended up doing one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And Mr. Alan Rubin and all those guys, and I known Alan years back.
Well, he was in the record business, WMOT out
yes.
of Philadelphia. You know?
Yeah.
Major Harris and Blue Magic. And all
Yes,
those guys.
all them people. And
By the way, if we had more time, I would love to talk about
we
Tommy
should do
Bell.
this again. You should make this another thing this week because you can't do this.
We should do part one because part two is with a guy by the name of Tommy Bell and Linda Creed.
Yep.
I mean, so many great writers, so many great musicians. But thank you. I'm going to have to run now. By the way, buy the book, okay? I'm going to sign. If you buy the book, I'll sign the book, okay? And you'll read the real story about how a kid came from nowhere. Like Anthony and me, we found a passion. Show business. I was Sammy Davis's, he called me Matchstick Sinatra. I mean, you know, it's...
We got stories we can tell you
Listen,
forever.
the world of show business, and you keep us going, thank God, right? My man.